This is not healthy. When you hear about pollution, you might picture exhaust fumes, littering, or oil spills. But there's another kind of pollution you might not know: noise pollution.
Okay. When we think about the noise pollution, actually this is not like air and water pollution. Now, in air and water pollution, they have the pollutant, that means substance. So, when you move to the noise, when you look at the definition of the noise, that is the unwanted sound waves that do not exist in the environment during the pre-modern electromagnetic spectrum. So that means this is kind of an energy. So therefore, we don't have any pollutant, but we have type of energy. So that will cause damage for the human health and animal behavior, right? And so when the word noise, that is comes from the Latin word, that is we call anoxia, meaning that is injury or hurt, right? So that is directly giving the answer. So that means noise is an unwanted, unpleasant and annoying sound that is caused by vibration of the matter. So then actually this is because of this vibration, it is giving nervous disturbance. That is called sound. So when the effects of sound undesirable, that may be termed as the noise. Okay. So therefore there are two different terms. One is the sound, the other one is the noise. So when you come to the noise pollution, that is the environmental pollution is sound produced by human and or machine that disrupt the natural environment and society in general. So and in additionally, it can cause harm to the general health and hearing of animals and humans. So therefore, this particular sound, if it is giving trouble for the animal or a human and giving damage for the environment, so that we call noise pollution. So when we move to the classification of noise pollution, there are two kinds. So one is the community noise, we call the environmental noise. This is not coming from the industries, right? So that examples, the aircraft noise, roadway noise, under the water noise, those are we are considering as the community noise. Then we have another kind of noise, that is we call the occupational noise. That is the industrial noise pollution. Okay. So when we move to the noise, community noise, this is defined as noise emitted from all sources except or at the industry workplace. So these are the, as I mentioned previously, road, rail, air traffic, construction, public work, sometimes neighborhood, we are considering as the community. They are recorded music and sometimes, sporting events, including the motorsports, playground, car parks, right? Sometimes, the barking dogs. Now you think you have 2, 3 dogs in maybe the German Shepherds. So then what will happen? So every time they are barking, right? So that also becoming a community noise. So then usually we are lucky, we don't have this type of aircraft noise pollution. If you are in a nearby airport, so frequently you will have this kind of problem. So especially very difficult to work at home. And then underwater noise pollution, we are not much aware about these things. The United Nations, the program, they intense human generated noise in the marine environment. So they are using explosive. Sometimes they have the oceanographic experiment. Sometimes they have the geophysical research. Sometimes they have the underwater construction and shift traffic. All these, sometimes, intense active sonars. Right now, recently we had the big example due to these sonars. Some aquatic animals affected. Dolphins actually heavily affected due to this sonar. That is underwater noise pollution and air guns. So these are the things, sources for the noise pollution underwater. Because most of the time we are neglecting this part, because we are thinking only the terrestrial. Rest of the, because we are not concerning about the underwater. Underwater is actually very, very important because there is another big ecosystem. Most of the living organisms you can find the underwater, especially in the marine. So therefore, they are so sensitive with this noise because they are getting the direction through these sound waves. So therefore, we need to be careful when we are using noise, like producing noise pollution inside the water. And these are the sources of noise pollution: road traffic noise, aircraft, noise from railroads. Noise from railroads, it's a disaster, right? If you are living nearby railway station or near the railway line, you will feel it, how much difficult to live in that particular place. Then the construction noise, noise in industry, noise in building, noise from consumer products, loudspeakers, public address system, firecrackers. Those are the sources of noise pollution. So therefore, you keep in your mind these some of these sources, and we need to include here the underwater sources as well, right? I have given the previous slide. So there are some sources for the underwater. Mosquitoes and the barking dogs and the pussycats go, the shouting, and even the music. Sometimes it's disturbances, right? For our, that's, we can't sleep well. So therefore, that is the situation, they are becoming pollution. So then we'll move to the main organ of the hearing, right? That is our ear. Now the sounds are producing. So then we have the apinara, this one, the external ear. Now we have the ear canal. There is a rhythm to move the sound, right? So that one is facilitated by these hairs. So in addition to the removing the unnecessary, the particles and unnecessary dust, the dust and everything. So that is the purpose of having these ear hairs, giving the rhythmic pattern. So then once it's come to, you can see the eardrum. So then this eardrum is facilitate vibration. And then what happened? So then when it's come to the ear, then these vibration, actually it is stimulate these three organs. So then the one its waves cause the waves eardrum, then these three bones are stimulating, that is transmitting. So then transmitting and amplifying. Now, so we are getting some sort of some level of sound, so that need to amplify to send the message to the brain. So that one actually done by these three organs. So then once it's amplified, we have this liquid inside, so that is vibrating the fluid, and then this fluid transmitter, that one stimulate the nerve ends. Then these nerve ends then stimulating, and that will send to the brain. So that is the way ear is functioning. So then what happen if we expose to the high noise? So then we are causing the hearing the loss. So that is causing the hearing loss. So then you can see the tiny hair cells in the inner ear are easily damaged by the loud noise. So therefore we need to, and also this is not never growing. So that is again another problem. So then because of having these hairs, that is not directly touch with this eardrum. So then when you are continuously, when you are hearing the many things, be careful, because that can be, it can be chronic. So then later it can be damage to the hearing easily. So therefore you have to be careful with the sounds.
And once the damage is done, it's irreversible. We have microscopic hairs in our ears that relay sound to the brain. They're fine-tuned to detect vibrating frequencies from our eardrum. If those vibrations are too strong, it can bend, break, or even destroy these delicate hairs. But unlike the hairs on your head, these don't grow back. Since we cannot see or feel these hairs, the damage from noise pollution can go unnoticed for years, even decades.
And then here I explain what is happening within the human ear. Snail-shaped structure we call the cochlea, this one. And then the cochlea is lined with the microscopic hairs, and the sound vibration level travel to the ear into the cochlea, and then strong vibration flatten the and damage the hairs within the cochlea, which can lead to the degree of hearing loss. Sound is usually we are measuring by the decibels. So that decibel lowest human can tolerate, and there is upper limit as well. What is the hearing capacity of human?
90 to 20,000 hertz.
Pussycat? Higher than, yeah, that range is below 20 and above 20,000. And their range is very wide than the human. So that's why in even a small noise they can hear. So then sometimes, the one it's people exposed to extremely loud noise, the body respond by becoming more alert. Sometimes it's increase the heart rate, muscle tension, high cholesterol levels, and the high blood pressure. And also causing the migraines, and especially decreases in concentration and impair children's learning and performance. Sometimes, if we are frequently exposed to this noise, sometimes become suicidal or homicidal. It's not, it's very dangerous change in the human's behavior. So this is the graph I can show you how it is amplifying. So these are the some of the sources and some of the sound levels. You can see the sound level, the decibel. These are the sound sources. So when you come to the sound level, this is the source, this is the sound level, this is the effect. So when you look at the sound sources like jet engine, the rivet hammers, so they are producing 140, 130 decibels. So that is highly injury. This is very highly injuries mean definitely we will blast our eardrum. And then we have the propeller, even the propeller plane, and then we have the rock drills, drills, then the chainsaw, sheet metal workshop, the heavy truck. Even you cannot stand on either side of the road when the heavy trucks move. So it's vibrating. So therefore, that is injuries. So then heavily traffic street. So risk, that is the decibel may be around 80. Then the saloon cars, that is decibel 70, speech masking. And the normal conversation, low conversation, the quiet radio music, whispering, the quiet urban apartment, rustling leaves. So you can see the decibel 60 to 10, it's ranging. So that is irritating. So therefore, continuous noises are not good for us because we can tolerate in a certain level. If it is exceeding, so that is becoming a problem. So this is the way measuring of noise. You can see here, these are the decibels. So then there are many, like quiet library, conversation, loud radio. You can see the how much decibel for each and every activity. So then the decibel, this is the measure of sound intensity. That is the magnitude of the fluctuation in air pressure caused by the sound waves. You know how it is happening. So this decibel scale is logarithmic. So this is not arithmetic. That means doubling of sound intensity is not responded as a doubling of the decibel levels. So usually this method can filter that emphasize sound in certain frequencies. So there are some filters we call 1A filter. That is the most frequently used. The C filter, they put more weight on low frequency sounds such as bass in amplified music. So actually these filters we call the sound level meters. Normal conversation around 60 decibel, noise less than 75 decibel. If even for long period, this unlikely can damage your hearing. So here also we have some regulations in the standards. So these are the permissible noise level in accordance with the noise control regulations. Now, when you look at the area, that is low noise, that is the Pradeshi Sabha area. So we have two standards, daytime 55, nighttime 45. So medium noise, that is the municipal area 63, nighttime 50 in an urban area. Then high noise areas, industrial areas, daytime allowing 70, nighttime 60. Like silent zones like, the hospitals, public library, school or zoos, sacred areas, those areas having the daytime 50, nighttime 45. Why they are giving daytime in one level, nighttime in another level? What is the reason?
Time, and the night time is the resting time.
Yeah, so then what will happen?
So the in the daytime the noise is high, and the
Yeah.
night time that is low noise, and calm, quiet environment.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Pavitra. Because now, yes, all are the correct answers are correct. The explanation is like that because now daytime we are so active and most of the activities going on. So therefore, more noise. In the night, during the night time, we don't have many activities. That's a calm and quiet the situation. So at that time, the noise level, if it is increasing, mean it's becoming a big noise. So that's why the time, with the time, they reduce the night time. They have low decibels. They are giving the standards for the low, daytime high. Okay, let's move to the silent zones. Now, what is the reason for in the zoological area, the zoo area, zoological garden areas having low noise, low levels? Because we are keeping in a silent zone. Why?
Because they can't rest due to the high noise.
Yeah, they can't rest. So then if they can't rest, what will happen to them?
It will influence to their mentality.
Yeah, exactly. It will influence their mentality. So that is the reason. So therefore, so they are under stress. So those are the reasons for keeping standards. So therefore, in the industries, it is no problem because industrial zones almost all the time they are making sounds. So therefore, they should have some kind of high sound levels in these particular zones. We'll see what are the effects of noise pollution. So mainly health and well-being both are disturbing due to the noise pollution. We'll move to the one by one. Especially symptoms of occupational hearing loss. So that means in the working place, that is feeling of fullness in the ear. Then sounds may seem the muffled. So then cannot hear the high frequency sound. And also sometimes ringing in the ear while listening to the high frequency sounds. So that is happen frequently when they exposed to the sound. So if they are exposed to the long period of time or the sudden burst, that is the occupational hearing loss can be happen. If there is acute noise, so that is permanently hearing loss can be happen. So that is injury. Anyhow, it's make the irritable. Okay, it is irritable. Especially these animals and the properties also damaging due to the noise. These are some of the things: hearing impairment, decrease the efficiency of a man, lack of concentration, so sometimes abortion, pupil dilation, mental illness, sometimes heart attack, digestive problem, and then the temporary or permanent deafness, aggressive behavior, and also the vegetation poor quality of crops, and sometimes effect on animals, property, sleep interferences, speech interferences. All these things can be happen due to the noise pollution. Now I think it is very well known because if you know the bomb blasting, it's a huge noise. So once the bomb blast, most of the people damage their hearing. I think you can remember last year. So when you come to the auditory effect, especially the auditory fatigues and the deafness, and that is the auditory effects. There are some non-auditory effects that is directly interfering with the social problems. That is problem with communication. As I mentioned, that is a speech interference. And sometimes cannot sleep. Mental equilibrium is actually disappearing. Most of the time we cannot concentrate. And during the night time, if you are continuously listening to the mosquitoes sounds, the vibrating the winds, so that means you can't sleep. So if you are having the sleepless night, mean next day you cannot concentrate anywhere. So that is the way it is happening. Then the physiological effect. So especially that is many things. You can see that there are so many things under the physiological effect. And then based on that, happening some hormonal changes, especially from the endocrine and hormonal changes. Under that, we are facing for the stress. So therefore, we can increase the cholesterol, the noise cause blood vessel too close, cutting down blood supply to the fingers and toes. Then the respiratory changes, all these can be happen due to the increasing of the adrenaline hormone. Then psychological effect is the most dangerous one. So that is the physical and mental fatigue. Because of this loss of concentration, that is giving lower efficiency. Finally, what will happen? Finally, sometimes some people, they are suicide. So therefore, finally can be kill a man. If it is happening nearby neighborhood, the neighbor's house, then go and kill the person who make the noise. So that much of level can go to the due to this noise pollution. So here I have given some other things as well. Let's move to the effects of noise on wildlife. So then, especially they are reducing the migration of the birds and the other animals, because now if it is high sound areas, they are ignoring, they are not going there. So therefore, sometimes they cannot find their food. So therefore, they are not choosing that habitat. And sometimes in the city zoos, they become in lethargy, right? And then they are health deteriorating because they are under stress because of exposure to the frequent sounds. And some animals are not reproduced, right? That is threatened for their survival. And sometimes, they are getting some duodenal ulcers. So then this is a atrophy of Remus gland and changes the adrenaline gland. So those things can be happening. Not only the human, not only the animal, but also this is effect for the structures, especially vibration to the building, damage the glass. Sometimes if it is trucks moving on the road, so the sometimes it's vibrating the building, so therefore damage the glass windows, and the plaster can be cracked. Sometimes damage to the ground foundation. Okay, so jet aircraft. So most of the time damage road and the buildings. That much of big sound they are producing. So therefore, the noise is not giving problem for human being only. They producing other damages to the other things as well. We can possible solutions. So then first one is if it is the occupational noise pollution, so we will have the auditory personalized protection. If there are some machineries things producing noise, we can use the absorbent. Sometimes we can use the acoustic barriers. If it is causing industries, we can isolate. So then if it is producing other sources, we can set the right sonomorpha. So solutions, we will be able to plant in bushes, trees, in and around sound generating sources. That is one of the effective solution for noise pollution, sound breaking. So then regular servicing or turning of automobiles can effectively reduce the noise pollution. I think boys are well aware about these bikes. They prefer go like with the high sound motorbike. So therefore, you need to regular serving and turn in automobiles. Therefore, that is reduce noise pollution. And also buildings, when we are constructing buildings, we can design with suitable noise absorbing materials for the walls especially, and the windows and the ceiling. If the people are working in an industry, so then we can provide the equipment. We can like earplugs, earmuffs for hearing protection. So therefore, they will prevent from the occupational noise pollution. And similar to the automobiles, lubrications of machineries and servicing should be done, minimize noise generation, that can be done. And soundproof doors and windows can be installed to block unwanted noise from the outside. And then we can impose the regulation to strict the usage of play loudspeakers in crowded areas and public places. Factories and industries should be located far from the residential area. And then for the community development or urban management, we can done along with the long-term planning. We are planned some, we should not encourage people to install sound polluting business inside the community. So that way we will be able to reduce the noise. And then social awareness program should be taken up to educate the public about the causes and effects of the noise pollution. We never do this one. So actually we should aware the people. So this can be happen because it is should not produced by traffic and these other things, but within the house there are some sound pollution. So therefore those things we will be able to minimize. Most of the highways you can see this type of walls. Those are the noise barriers. There is a shield, right? So they're fully covered, so therefore noise is not passing outside, especially in highways. Then sometimes they are putting the sound absorbing panels under bridges. So therefore that is also reduce the noise. And then most of the time should have the green belt. So therefore these green belts support people to reduce the noise and gas both. So that is about the noise pollution. Do you have any questions regarding this lecture?